movieweb.com.
So what's up?
Erica, I'm writing a story, and it's gonna run tomorrow. And it's gonna say, among other things, that you are a CIA operative.
We're gonna fast-track the story, your story. I want to get it on doorsteps tomorrow.
No, I know. It's Watergate. It's Iran-Contra.
Paper will be out in 2 hours.
When that story comes out, you'll be out in the open.
You did it. This changes everything. You're gonna win a Pulitzer.
None of this was my fault. I'm not going to be punished because there is a traitor among us.
The president has been shot. There were at least 3 gunshots.
Now, I want to know, with your prison experience, are you confident enough to make someone your bunk bitch?
You mean my prison experience prior to this movie, or just during
Exactly,
this
because
movie?
I know you had a lot before this movie, right? You did like a 2-year stint.
Yeah. Well, you know what's weird is I have actually feel like I've done more than my share. I did a whole prison thing in Broke Down Palace. So I've done the Philippines prison. I've done this. My father was a very famous actor in England. His television show was entirely set in a prison, so it's obviously a theme. But yeah, I feel like I could probably handle myself. I reckon if I had something heavy to put in my sock.
But I want to know, reading the script for the first time, and you finally get to the last page, and you learn who the source is. I don't know if you knew who the source was before. Did that change your viewpoint of the character, like do a whole 360 of what you'd just read beforehand?
I have to say, I felt like that was the case. I mean, reading the script, I think, and watching the movie are different. I figured out what was going on while I was reading the script. But yes, it makes an enormous difference, I think, when you know who the source is, in the context of...
Well, can you kind of talk about how it changed your ideas about who she was as a woman without giving away the
That's
end
really
of the film?
difficult to talk about it without giving anything away, but I think there is a way to see my character as a figurehead for the First Amendment, and there is also a way to see my character as a human being who is... who has, sort of, in some respects, violates her moral code by using information that she's got from a sort of non-traditional source, and therefore, because she has used that information, feels that she does have an obligation to protect the source, possibly more than she would if it had been somebody else. I do think that absolutely affects why she's so stalwart in the beginning of protecting her source, because she's made a promise to somebody vulnerable. And then, as everything escalates and the stakes get much higher, it becomes even more important for her to honor that.
Now, during shooting, were you able to rely on Rob for some of the journalistic tricks of the trade that he knows because he's been in the trade?
Yeah, I mean, Rod was a journalist for 13 years, so in terms of having an on-site expert, it was really handy to have him. I did, prior to shooting, I read a lot of books by and about journalism, especially political journalism. I also spent some time at the LA Times with some female reporters there, which was really helpful. I got to have lunch with Julie Miller and talk to her a little bit. And then Rod, Rod actually is in the movie. He plays one of the editors of the newspaper, so he was very much on hand during the newsroom sequences,
Well, did he ever have any, similar instances where he struggled with giving away a source that he shared with you? And how
I think
difficult
so.
that
I
can
think
be
he
to-
was in a slightly different wing of journalism than my character was, but he definitely had an awful lot of experience that was relevant to that. I felt that he was the expert on journalism and I was the expert on motherhood out of the two of us, and between us, I felt that we had the bases covered.
No, speaking about motherhood, I mean, you have children and you're really close one. Did that help you sort of get into the mindset of this woman who is locked away for a year or more in prison?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think if anything, it was harder for me as a mother to be able to fathom how, whatever principle is involved, how you could not be with your child for that long voluntarily. Except that it's not voluntarily, and I realized, especially once I, read to the end of the script, that her decision is not based on, what will be the case where there is no damage. It'll be what will be the case where there's the least damage to somebody, and it seemed that the damage to the source would be even greater than the damage to her son. Not that there is no damage to her son, which there is.
Well, do you think you would have been able to hold on to that secret so long if you had somebody really close to you that was being sort of affected by what was going on?
I
like she
think
is?
myself personally, I probably would not have made the decision to not be visited by my child. I completely understand where she's coming from. My character feels that it's distressing for her son to see her in the prison, and I think she worries for his well-being to see how distressed he is. But I also think she's not expecting to be in prison for as long as she is, so she's sort of seeing it in a few week increments, and then it sort of becomes a way of life.